Welcome to Underwater CSI International Revealed with your hosts, Senior Investigators Rich Morin and Ed Myron.
Thank you for joining us. This is Underwater CSI International. I'm Senior Investigator Rich Morin, and with me, as always, is my partner, Senior Investigator Ed Myron. Eddie, what's going on, bud?
Well, it's been a crazy week. So how about with you?
You had a little accident, huh?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, at your advanced age, and maybe you should stay off ladders.
Yeah, right.
So what happened? You're up on a ladder and a reindeer attacked you.
No, we
right?
don't even have to worry about that. So, but before we start the episode, I just wanted to, wish everybody. I know Thanksgiving's already gone past, but I just wanted to wish everybody. I hope they had a safe and happy Thanksgiving from, our entire team here at Underwater CSI Revealed, and our whole team.
Nice. Yeah. We're not sure when this is going to go out to the public, but I mean, Christmas may already be gone by the time it gets out there. But anyway, we hope that everybody has a great Christmas also.
Exactly. Well, it'll be out before Christmas.
All right. We got a couple people we want to mention. Thank.
Yes, our technical advisor, as always, Bobby Cacaw Falcon,
Falcon.
who always is there when we need him. Been a great friend and a good diver, and we're happy that he's available when we need him for our technical support.
And happens to be married to my granddaughter.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. Who's a state trooper now?
Yeah, who is a New York State trooper. Congratulations, Brianna.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And she finished one of the tops in her class also, and she's going to make a great state trooper.
Yep.
She had a very exciting first couple of weeks out there, but she's doing it. One of the hardest programs there is to go through, and she excelled.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm so proud.
Yeah, really.
Real proud. But anyway, New York State Trooper. Anyway, besides Bobby, we want to give a shout out to Randy Overton. He's the voice at the beginning and the end. He does our intros and outros. We always appreciate Randy. If anybody is in need of his services, just reach out to us at UWCSI@yahoo.com. It's UWCSI@yahoo.com. Or if you have any questions or you want us to mention anything on the show, etc., you can do that. I also want to mention, we had one of our subscribers right here. This is laser printed on a piece of slate
That's
as
awesome.
a coaster. So this is from Davita Johnston. She took our logo and she made us these incredible coasters. So I'd like to give a big shout out to Davita and thank you very much. And it's Crafts by Davita. Now, Davita is located just south of Knoxville, Tennessee. So, I mean, she does all kinds of stuff, but this is one of the things that she does. I mean, so thank you very much, Davita. We really appreciate it. Anyway, Eddie, we got a long show. We got a two-parter coming up.
Two-parter. Yep. Two-parter.
And this show was written for one of the TV episodes when
Right.
we were approached by a major network to do a TV series. We mentioned that in earlier episodes. We won't get into that again. But anyway, so this is one of the shows that was written for the TV series.
Right.
Just to kind of give people a little bit of a heads up on this. This happened in South America. We're off the coast of a country in South America on a small island. And we were down there working for a U.S.-based insurance company investigating for potential insurance fraud under suspected of a large yacht that had sunk mysteriously. Yep. So anyway, we were down there.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, it was a potential insurance fraud, and we didn't get the warmest welcome.
You know what? You're right. From law enforcement, it was kind of weird. Where they were very standoffish. We get that quite often. People think we're coming into their territory, stepping on their toes, and that's not what we do. We're there to assist um, them to act as their underwater liaison, their eyes and hands and et cetera, to help with proper investigations for underwater crime scenes.
Right.
Now, they weren't involved in this at all. The insurance company, this is something that we were hired to do by the insurance company.
Right.
So we weren't brought down there by the government agency. We were brought there by the insurance company. But you're right. We still reported to the local authorities, and I don't know, for some reason they just weren't happy that we were on island,
Yeah.
with our team.
Yeah. I
But
just didn't get the feeling that we were loved by.
yeah, yeah, there were no hugs going around.
No, nobody gave us a hug. Yeah. Right.
you know, and we had visitors every single day,
Yeah.
at the scene, vehicles pulling up and binoculars watching us, and we had boats pulling up and just all kinds of issues there. But
Well, and I'm
um,
sure you're going to talk about it, and you know, especially because we had the entire team there, right?
yeah,
And we had been there for an extended period of time.
yeah, it was 2 weeks so far. I
Yeah.
mean, we've been working on this, I mean, a
Right.
large yacht and a lot to investigate.
Right.
So, but that's not what the story is about. The
No.
story is about foreign corruption,
Right.
and it places our team in extreme danger.
Right.
So that's what the story is about. All right, it's going to be a two-parter.
Yeah.
It's
It's a good one.
yeah, a little longer, but a two-parter in this one here. But anyway, so our team was wrapping up an investigation on the sunken yacht. Another day or two, I figured, we would be pretty much done
Right.
with it. But then after that, we'd have to spend another full day at least, because we were going to recover the yacht also,
Right.
and then make sure that it gets to dry dock until the insurance company figured out what they were going to do. So we had made prior arrangements with the marina to get it dry docked, get it up and out of the water, but we have to get it there first. So we got to
Right.
raise it and then tow it, and then get it over to the crane. And then it's the type of crane that it kind of looks like a big box, and it drives over the yacht and then sets down, and bands go underneath it, and
Right. The
they
straps.
lift it up that way and drive it right up and put it right over on a cradle.
Right.
So we had already made arrangements for all that. So we figured that was going to take us a full day. If we started early in the morning, we'd probably be working until, early evening, maybe even a little later, to
Right.
get that done.
And then, the entire team has been working for not only on this case, but other cases. So we've been going, nonstop for a few months,
Yeah, I mean, months. It was a busy time for us, and it was just one after another and after another. We
Right.
had to split the team. We have different team members that excel in different things. So,
Right.
I mean, if we're doing some other type of recovery or investigative work, sometimes we can, split teams up, et cetera. And, sometimes, you and I aren't always working together. You
Right.
go your way, I go my way with certain teams, and et cetera. But man, we had just been going case after case after case
Right.
on it. So
And here-
everybody was in
Oh,
dire
sorry.
need of a little bit of R&R.
Yeah. Here we
Yeah.
are on this beautiful island, right?
Yeah.
We need the R&R.
Yeah. So I remember dinner that night. We were at this one restaurant, and the team's eating and stuff, and everybody was talking about how beautiful it was. Even though we were there working, we didn't have an opportunity to do any enjoyment dives, and very seldom do we ever have that opportunity.
Right.
Even though, I mean, I'm closing in on 15,000 dives, and I mean, I kid, probably my whole lifetime I've had a couple hundred enjoyment dives. I mean, most of them seem to be work.
Work related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we, the crew was talking about, oh man, this would be a great place to stick around and do some fun dives. And there was a real nice shipwreck there that, kind of excited everybody. I don't know about you, but I was kind of getting tired of diving a wreck.
Yeah.
We've been diving one for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I'd like to see something else other than a shipwreck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'd like to spend some time with just the aquatic life and just vegging underwater, and
Yeah, right.
not working for a change.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So we had already decided at dinner, you and I had decided, hey, we're going to give the team some well-deserved time off. Let them
Yeah.
dive.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to give them a little surprise.
Yeah.
We already made arrangements
Right.
to
Yep.
extend our stay a few extra days, to give them that opportunity.
Yep.
So, yeah. So once we mentioned it at dinner, and they're pretty excited.
Yeah.
The recovery of the yacht went pretty smooth because they didn't want it to delay into to another day.
Right.
So
Right.
that was good. But so on the first day, the team, we had breakfast, and the team decided that they wanted to go do this one particular shipwreck. And I don't
Right.
blame them. A big
No.
wreck down there, 300-foot long.
Yep.
And, it's a good size wreck,
And
sitting
I
down
think,
there.
and I think you and I have seen it multiple times. So we
Yeah.
were good.
Yeah, we were good. So we decided that we were going to head off to a remote part of the island,
Yeah.
something that we had heard about. And we were going to go up there and do some diving and, really see some of the corals and fish, et cetera, that, maybe some untouched reefs
Right.
up in this area. So we're excited. So after breakfast, we loaded up our vehicles. And our rental vehicles that we had a couple of pickup trucks, and we also had a Jeep. You and I decided, because it was just going to be the two of us, we would take the Jeep,
Right.
out and load our tanks up. We were going to plan on doing a 2-tank dive and then head on back. But so we loaded the Jeep up. The guys loaded the 2 trucks up, and off they went to one part of the island. We went to another part of the island, a complete opposite end.
Yep.
Like I said, to a real remote site.
Yeah. It was pretty isolated.
Yeah. But when we arrived, I was kind of surprised to see 2 divers walking out of the water.
Yeah.
Another vehicle there.
We looked at each other going, wait a minute. I thought we were the only divers that knew this site.
Yeah. And it was a married couple walking out of the water.
Yeah.
And boy, they were just ear to ear smiles.
Yeah.
So
Very excited.
yeah. So we kind of felt their excitement, and we went up to them and started talking to them. Just, we wanted to kind of get an area orientation. That's what you do if you're diving someplace new or unfamiliar. You talk to the local divers or somebody that's just getting out of the water like that.
Right.
Kind of give us a heads up. And, what's the topography like and the depths, and, sometimes there's areas that are better than others, and, they can point that out to us and stuff. So we had a real nice chat with them, nice people.
Right.
But you remember one of the things they said, though?
Yeah. They were excited about the dive. They saw, a few cannons out there, nothing really that really stood out, except for an area where there was some rotting chain link fence. And they just thought that was,
It was rolled up.
a rolled up chain link fence.
Yeah.
So they were, everything, the rest of their dive went great, but they were just, they were very surprised to see a rolled up, chain link fence.
Yeah, right down there on the reef.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when we heard that, you and I were kind of like, looking at each other going,
Yeah.
what? We
Yeah.
had this concerned look on our faces, but we didn't want to tell them anything. We just,
Right.
just kind of shook our heads and basically thanked them for all the information. We spent quite a bit of time with them. Plus trying to find out a little bit more about the cannons too. They said they saw 2 cannons.
Right.
It's like, man, really? So obviously something happened up on this part of the island.
Yeah. And we also asked them at the time before we let them go, hey, whereabouts, what, you have an idea what depth the roll of chain link fence was at, or, can you give us an idea where? So with that information, we took that,
Yeah, they were pointing it out, well, we think it was over in this area here. And I think they
Right.
told us somewhere between 40 to 60 feet, 65 feet or so.
Right.
They weren't quite sure, but, because they just came across it on their way back
Sure.
from a dive.
On their way back.
Yeah. So it was like, great. So you and I kind of took a compass heading out in that area just to, so we can hopefully go out and take a look at this rolled up chain link fence. But, as investigators, we always want to ask questions and question everything.
Right.
And so, what's going through our mind is, why would there be chain link fence out here in this remote area? The only way it's going to get here is by boat.
Right.
And that's a long way to come all the way around this island up to this remote area, when they could have easily have dumped it anywhere
Right.
along the way, anywhere.
And why do you come this far down the island?
Yeah. Or if you drive here, you're driving right past the landfill.
Right.
So why wouldn't you dump it off at the landfill?
Right.
I just didn't understand it. or
And
alongside the road. We saw a chain link fence alongside the road on the way there.
right,
We saw a rotten chain link fence from a farmer that, it looked like either his fence was down and where he changed out his fence or whatever. But,
right,
I mean, we recall seeing some fencing along the road.
right.
But
And if you do drive it there, you're going to have to drag it into the water, use lift bags to bring it out to where, they're saying it is, and then that's a long swim out, right? And
yeah,
then drop the chain link fence. For what reason?
right, exactly. It just didn't make any sense to us. I
Right,
mean, we just kept questioning it as we're setting up our dive gear. So, but anyway, after getting geared up, we head out to the area and we start searching. We start deep and we're doing a U-shaped pattern, working up the contour.
right,
And we dropped down to, I think it was 75 feet or so,
right.
maybe 80. Yeah,
Yeah,
right around
80 to
there.
100, I think, when then we
Yeah,
started that U shape.
yeah. And we start doing the U shape up the contour. And we came across the roll of chain link fence in, I believe it was what, 58 feet of
58
water.
feet of
Yeah,
58 feet of water. Yep.
yeah. Um, so our wetsuits, a lot of people don't realize our wetsuits are custom made.
Right.
And we have a lot of additional pockets that we have on our suits, on our legs, et cetera, so it's easy to get to on the upper portion, et cetera.
Right.
But these pockets are for tools that we carry as crime scene investigators,
Right.
and the tools, they vary
Sure.
depending on what type of job we're doing.
Yep.
But normally what we have is we have a magnifying glass. That's always a given.
Yep.
We usually have a pair of long handled, quite long tweezers that
Right.
we can pick evidence up and, et cetera, put it in containment bags.
Right.
We also have a pocket with a flap over it, and we have different size containment bags
Right. The
that
evidence
we
bags.
have
Yep.
for potential evidence,
Right.
so that we can go ahead and photograph and mark that. And the
Right.
bags are all numbered. So
Right.
as we put the stuff in there, we can write on a slate, as far as the number of the bag goes and what's, basically what's in there, where it was
Right.
found, et cetera.
Small
Um,
hammer, some
yeah,
pliers.
yep,
Yep.
exactly. Some forceps. Um, and we also usually carry depending on what it is. I mean, we can either carry a small tape measure, usually a 25 footer in one of our pockets.
Yep.
If we're doing something a little bit bigger, we also have the big reel that
Right.
we reel out, and I think that's 250 feet. I think that one is.
Yeah.
And then I
Yep.
think we have another one that's 300, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken, as
Yeah.
far as the length and that goes. But in this case here, we just had the 25 footer in our pocket. But so when we encountered the fence, it was in rough shape.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
it was very
Pretty
well
badly
deteriorated.
deteriorated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, probably a third of it, it looked like, was almost disintegrated.
Yeah.
We could see some small remnants in the sand, and it was kind of pushed up against a coral head. So it looks like it kind of got stuck there.
Stuck there. Right.
Yeah. So,
And it
um,
and when we'd figure, I mean, if it was brand new, I mean, we were figuring that it had to be there for quite some time.
yeah, the salt water is going to deteriorate it pretty quick. But when I say pretty quick, it's going to be years still.
Right.
But we estimated this was probably close to a decade,
Yeah.
that had been down there from the condition that it was in.
Right.
And the other thing is what'll deteriorate it a little bit quicker is the surge underwater, that rocking back and forth motion of the water, that kind
Right.
of rocks that roll a chain link back and forth like that. So
Right.
that can aid in the deterioration of it also.
Sure.
But anyway, we decide, we're going to investigate this. And I know you started at one end, I started at the other end.
Right.
And
And I think you found something first.
yeah, I've got my magnifying glass out, and I found on one of the pieces of chain link itself, where it had deteriorated, it was kind of uh, sharp a little bit. It's rusting a little bit, so it
Right.
had some exposed pieces on it. And I found a small piece of fabric that was pretty well deteriorated, and it was minuscule. I
Right.
mean, it was tiny. I'm looking at it through the magnifying glass, but still, that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's potential evidence right there.
Right.
So I went ahead and I took that and I marked it, and took a picture of it, and put it in a containment bag,
Yep.
an evidence bag,
Right.
and then
Then
continued on. And
Yeah.
then
And
you were
then,
the next one to find something
yeah.
extremely
Yeah.
interesting.
What we suspected at that point was that it was a very small piece of a bone fragment, bone
Yeah,
shard.
yeah.
Um,
And that
and
wasn't the only one that you found.
right,
Yeah, you found quite a few.
right, in
Um,
that same area
yeah,
by right in that same spot where it looked like it probably deteriorated and dropped down between the chain links and so on, but was right in that same area.
yeah.
Yep.
And we'll talk a little bit more about this in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Um,
So so
anyways,
again, we bagged those. I bagged those. You took some more photos, and so we had that evidence with us as well.
yeah. And on the far end that I was on, the next thing that I found was a small piece of leather. It looked like from a shoe,
Right.
tiny, tiny, tiny piece.
Yeah.
And again, we have to have it checked out, to see
Right.
whether or not it's leather or not. But it
Yeah.
looked like a piece
Analyze
of
right to make sure it was.
analyze. That's what I was trying to think of. Having a brain fart here at my advanced age. But yeah, so we still have to have this stuff analyzed. But we're pretty certain that it was part of a shoe
Sure.
on that. But so we found some interesting stuff along with a lot of other stuff, and we found some more fragments of clothing,
Right.
potential clothing.
Material. Right.
Yeah, you found also clothing on your end as we
Right.
started to work in, shoulder to shoulder now
Right.
on it because the fence isn't that long. It's rolled up and only about 4 feet, so we're pretty much shoulder to shoulder the entire time.
Right.
Excuse me. But anyway, we're now realizing that we may have stumbled across a potential
Murder scene.
murder scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's leading us down that path right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, criminals have been known to discard bodies by rolling them up in chain link fence and disposing of them in the ocean. Why would you
Right.
do this? All right. As the surf comes in, the waves overhead underwater, all right, you get that rocking back and forth motion or the surf or the
Right.
surge rather underwater. So
Right.
that kind of rolls the chain link back and forth. And what that does, I know it sounds kind of gory, but that starts to break the body up.
Right.
Also, all the gaps in the chain link itself, the aquatic life, the crustaceans, the fish, etc. They can go ahead and eat the decaying flesh
Right.
that's there.
It gives them a
The,
perfect opening to get in there to
yeah,
start. Yep.
yeah, lobsters, crabs, etc. I mean, they just
Exactly.
go to town on that. And then as the flesh is disappearing, diminishing,
Yep.
what happens is the chain link now with all the surge motion back and forth, it will start to grind the bones up basically into like powder. I mean, meal underwater.
Right.
And as the chain link starts to deteriorate, next thing you know, there's no evidence.
There's
It's
no
all
evidence.
gone.
Right.
Yeah. The tissue's gone, et cetera. So, you kind of rely on clothing fragments,
Right.
things like that.
Right.
Um,
And like you
so
said, this is known by criminals, but also known by law enforcement
yeah,
and
and
those of us who are trained in
yeah,
underwater CSI.
yeah. If somebody's properly trained in crime scene investigation, I mean, you're pretty aware of that. I mean, you probably have come across some of those in your career.
Right.
But anyway, so the salt water will play a number on the chain link fence, but I mean, eventually it'll be gone,
It'd be gone. Right.
to where it doesn't look like anything ever happened there.
Right.
So we're kind of estimating, on the long end, 10 years, probably a little less than that, that it's been out there, but that's what we're looking at.
Right.
Um,
And luckily,
so
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so, with our thoughts that this could be a potential crime scene, we were fortunate to be able to reach out to the rest of the team during their surface interval. Right.
Yeah. Before they went on a second dive.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, they were taking a long surface interval because they just did a pretty deep dive, exploring that one wreck that they were on. They had a ball, but we kind kind of informed them what we came across, and everybody agreed. Everybody, felt that it was very suspicious and that we needed to investigate it a little bit further.
Right. And head back
Um,
to the hotel and meet up with everyone.
yeah.
Yep.
So the other thing is, we made the decision not to contact the local authorities yet.
Right.
We didn't actually get a real good reception when we first got on island, nor did we get a good reception the whole couple of weeks that we were there.
Right. So
Um,
that made our decision easy at this
yeah,
point, right? Not to contact them.
yeah. And the other thing is, like we said before, the people that are aware of the chain link fence, disposing of a body technique are criminals and dun 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 law
Law
enforcement,
enforcement.
or CSI people.
Right.
Um, So we weren't getting a warm, fuzzy feeling about any of this. We
No.
just, we're in a foreign country. We already, had some bad experiences, et cetera. So we weren't feeling all warm and fuzzy.
Right.
Um, so anyway, so we load up our equipment and we head on out. But on the way back to the hotel, you and I decide, because we're talking about this a lot, we decide to make a couple of stops
Yeah.
to get some stuff that we think we might need
Right.
on that. We won't expose that yet,
Right.
but all right. Um, we want
Yes.
to appear when we return. We want to appear as recreational divers. We don't want to really set it all up as a potential crime scene yet. We just want to kind of go out there and finish our investigation. But now we have our team with us, so we can put a couple more people in the water.
Right.
We can have the proper surface support, et cetera. We can have the people taking care of potential evidence and equipment, et cetera, on land, things like that. Plus keeping an eye on all our gear. And that person was also setting some stuff up for us.
Right.
Yeah, on land. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get a little further into this. So we conducted 2 more dives, photographing and collecting numerous pieces of additional potential evidence. Because now what's happening is we worked from the top of the chain link and we're working our way down to the sand area
Right.
now. And so now we're starting to fan the sand and we're starting to really, really find some stuff. And this is where we found more bone fragments. We found some better pieces of clothing, a little bit bigger, a little bit better shape because it's buried in the sand and it's not
Right.
deteriorating quite as fast.
Right.
So we had quite a bit of evidence. I mean, nothing big, all small stuff
Right.
that we had. But anyway, once out of the water, we have an in-depth meeting regarding how to proceed, all right, with our team and bringing up our concerns.
Right. And at this point, we decide, okay, well, we're gonna have to contact the authorities
Yeah,
because we have enough information that we put together that this definitely looks like a crime scene.
yeah,
So we go
Yeah.
ahead and contact the authorities.
yeah. After the phone call that I had with the lieutenant on the phone, man, sometimes, Ed, you get that feeling, that bad feeling that just something's not right.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't very receptive at all.
Right.
Just kind of seemed more upset and angry
Right.
than anything,
Right.
and man, I just had that bad feeling,
Yeah,
feeling.
And
I
I
got
mean,
off the phone and I, kind of you and I talked off to the side a little bit, and I just told you, I said, man, buddy, something is wrong here. What we need to be concerned about right now is safety for our team,
right. And the
because
evidence.
I think things are going to go bad pretty quick here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And
you
we
know,
had that
and-
feeling. We've had that feeling,
yeah, and I was going to say we've run into that before,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
so we just have to protect ourselves, protect the, it's not an assigned case to us. We
Right.
just kind of stumbled against it, but we're gonna or stumbled upon it, but we're gonna look at it as an assigned case,
Right.
and see if we can't figure this out because something is definitely wrong here.
Right.
Right. So anyway, prior to law enforcement arriving, uh, we had made the decision. They got a long ride out, but
Yep.
we had made a decision to last minute scramble to set up a surface area with float balls, dive flags,
Yep.
and also we put our crime scene tape between. We make like a big rectangle, and
Right.
we put our crime scene tape on the surface, going from float ball to float ball to float ball, etc.
Right.
And we had dive flags in each corner.
Yep.
But we also did it underwater,
Right.
and we placed placards. The placards are basically, they look like a little table tent, and we know either numbers or letters on them, depending on what we're using. And you place them on the bottom. They're heavy. They sit on the bottom, and we place them everywhere we think there is potential evidence that
Potential
needs to be
evidence, right.
recovered.
Right.
Yeah.
And referencing those tuna balls and things that we were talking about, let me show you so that you can go ahead. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
So you can see these, the tuna balls right here.
Yeah. Or known as float balls also.
Or float balls, right. So those we had out on the four corners on the surface, along with the dive flags in each of the
reason
corners.
we call them tuna balls is because what fishermen would do is they would have, if they caught a tuna, they would be afraid that if it got off the hook at all, they're going to lose out on a lot of money. So they would take
Right.
a spear and they would spear the tuna, and there would be a line going back to one of these balls. So if they did break off and they eventually died, they bled out, the tuna ball would hopefully raise them back to the surface so they
Right.
would recover the tuna. So that's why we
Right.
call them tuna balls, but they're also
Right.
known as float balls.
Float balls, right. But that's what, when Rich was making a reference, that's what we're talking about right there.
Yeah,
Yep.
perfect. And then our dive flags, we had those in each corner also.
Right.
But that gives us descent ascent lines, but it also gives us a place to, on the bottom, to run our crime scene, do not
tape.
cross tape from tuna ball line to tuna ball line all the way around the rectangle.
Right. Right.
And when I say big rectangle, we didn't have a big site to begin with, but we made it. I think it was maybe 20 feet by 20 feet or so.
Right. Somewhere close to
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And then we had probably, I don't know, a dozen placards that we had down there for potential evidence to be recovered.
Right.
That we had the team scramble out there and get everything set up.
Set up. Right.
Yep. And then also we brought something else out there too, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
So we were amazed. We were amazed at the number of law enforcement that showed up.
Yeah. For somebody that seemed like they weren't interested and were more
Right.
angry than anything. I was surprised that anybody showed up.
Right.
But when the Armada showed up, it was like, holy moly.
Yeah. What's going on?
This is kind of odd. We don't even have, anything to go over yet. But anyway, so we spent, I know it had to be close to an hour.
Right.
Talking to the law enforcement that showed up.
Right.
And explaining everything and what we found and the evidence that was, that was out there, et cetera, waiting to be retrieved underwater. But we may have left out a few pertinent details.
Right. Just one or two.
Time. Yeah, just one or two. So in other words, we weren't
Again,
telling them. We weren't telling them everything.
It goes back to that feelings that we had. Just weren't comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They showed very little concern.
Right.
Yeah, very little concern at all. And we've had that happen also.
Yep.
We talked about the recovery that we did with the child abduction ring, and the state trooper that didn't want to be involved at all.
Right.
So we ended up pushing the vehicle over the state line.
Right.
But so I mean that happens sometimes. They just don't want to be involved in it.
Right.
They also said that all collected evidence needed to be turned over to them, and we told them that we hadn't collected any yet. That we had placards on the bottom, to collect everything. We asked them to recommend, because we're not going to be back down until the next day. So we asked, hey, do you recommend a security agency that we can hire? And they were like, no. We'll put one of our officers, here all night to watch the scene.
He's going to stay there.
Not like they're going to get a lot of traffic up there. Nobody's up there,
Right.
I mean, maybe if somebody's going to come up to do a night dive or something, but it's kind of a long way to go.
It is.
And it's kind of a remote, desolate road.
Right.
to go up and do a night dive. So,
and
I mean, I would
unless
think people would do those more toward town, but
right, and unless you really know that area, who's going to travel out there to do a night dive really?
yeah,
You know, and if somebody did come out there, he was instructed to tell them, hey, sorry, you'll have to, find another dive site.
right.
Yeah,
Hey, try to avoid that area over there. No, no, you're not getting in the water here
right. Yeah,
because you
find
know what's going to
another.
happen. The diver's going to end up going over to that area and
Right,
potentially contaminating the scene
right, right.
on
So
that.
he was instructed, hey, if anybody does show up, move on to another dive site somewhere else, not here.
Yep,
Right,
yep. Um, so we explained to the officer that was going to be there for security, um, that we'd be back probably around 8 o'clock,
right,
in the morning, which meant we had to get up fairly early to get everything ready and load it back up again, and head back up
right,
for that. Um, so that night when we got back to the hotel, we went to town for dinner
right.
and debrief on the day's activities with
Yep.
the team members.
Talk to everybody.
Yeah. And then we kind of called it a night, but you and I had a few more
We had
things to take care of.
we had a few other plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a few other things that we discussed with the team,
Right,
but you and I weren't quite done yet.
right.
We still had a busy night ahead of us,
Yeah.
you know, and that,
Yep.
but we'll expose all that here and probably part two.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
So I'll tell you, it was early morning. Because you're excited and your adrenaline's pumping because you really want to get back and see what's going on, right?
Yeah, we were pleasantly surprised to see that the hotel had breakfast all set up already.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
we got up early,
Right.
and they normally didn't open yet, but because they were setting everything up, and we kind of explained to them that we had to be on a site early.
Right.
They let us in, and it was
Yeah.
great. We
They were
we
great.
appreciate
Yep.
that a lot. But we loaded up the trucks and the Jeep, and off we went again
Yep.
up to the site. Got up there just a little after 8 o'clock, and hey, surprise!
Let me look around.
Yeah,
No officer.
nobody's there.
No one's there.
Nobody's there. All kinds of activity in the sand, though.
Yeah.
That one of the things that we did when we said we were scrambling to do some things is we,
Purchased a couple of trail cams.
yeah, yeah, we purchased a couple of trail cams and set those up in the brush.
Yeah.
Yep. But also before we left, after the officers left and stuff the night before we left, we kind of took a palm frond branch and kind of went back and forth across the sand a little bit. And now we have all kinds of activity, all kinds of footprints and,
Yep.
marks in the sand, etc.
Hmm.
But I was like, I'll be darned. Only supposed
Yeah.
to be one security guy here.
Yeah. And
But
we look out where our crime scene tape was and our tuna balls and our dye flags. Not there. Gone.
yep, destroyed.
Yeah. Destroyed. So goes back to that. Have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah. So we decided to get geared up.
Yep.
Right. Head out to the alleged crime scene area.
Yep.
And our tuna balls have been sliced. They're laying on the bottom. Our lines are on the bottom. The CSI tape is all balled up, and our dye flags have been broken. I don't know where the floats went, but
Yeah,
the
floats are
flags were
gone.
sitting on the bottom along with the shafts on them. But
Yep.
there was no floats. They probably just floated out to sea or whatever.
Yep.
They were gone. All of our placards were just kind of all in a
Just-
big pile. Everything
Yep.
was moved. The bottom was completely destroyed.
Yeah.
You could see where somebody took their hands or whatever and just rubbed the bottom. I mean, just wrecked everything.
Yep.
So
Yep.
the site's contaminated now.
Yeah. Or
Wow.
was it?
So what they didn't realize was that bad feeling that we had
Right.
from the beginning, we decided that during that big scramble that we had, we set up a mock crime scene area.
Right.
That wasn't the crime scene at all.
Not at
The
all.
crime scene wasn't marked at all, and it was 100 yards away.
Right.
Right.
And we knew
One of the
that.
things that we brought out there that we had talked about just a little while ago, all right, and I said I'll mention it here in a minute. We stopped at the dump and we found some old chain link fence,
Yep.
right? I mean, they don't know the condition of it.
Right.
So,
They didn't-
I mean, we
had
didn't
no
need a
idea.
lot of it. We just needed to roll up a small piece.
Yeah.
And
Small piece.
yeah, so we had, I don't know, it was probably 8 feet of it or so, what, 4 feet wide. We rolled it up and brought it out there and set it on the bottom to make it look
Right.
like the crime scene.
Right. And here's my question though. How come I was the one who had to get the roadkill bones off the road? How come you were like, oh, oh.
Yeah.
How come I
What
had
we
to go
did is we
explain
found some
that to him?
roadkill, and so Ed went ahead and collected that, and then he cut some of the bones out of it, and basically we shaved it, to make it look like small shards and stuff, and scattered those around with placards on it, prior to setting it all up when we had gone back out there with the team the second time.
And I don't know that poor guy who lost his shoe. I don't know what happened there.
We found an old rotted. I don't know if it was a sneaker or flip flop, what the heck it was. It was all rotted though.
Yeah, shoe or something.
And so we just cut little, big piece out of that and cut it into smaller pieces and put that around inside the fence and place placards by it and stuff like that. And so basically we just set up a mock scene. We sent our guys out there and said, okay, here's what we need you to do. And they did a fantastic job. Obviously it fooled them. But so those are some of the things that we did the day before. We talked about, hey, we weren't done yet. We had a few things to do.
Right.
On that.
And all that evidence and all that stuff that we put out there, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything was gone.
Everything.
But the trail cam, when we went ahead and watched that, we saw 3 officers show up.
Yep.
Don dive gear. The guy that was supposed to be on patrol there was there. He wasn't diving though. He was just there on shore watching things.
Yep.
But, we caught the trail cam of them going in, and, the second trail cam was focused on the site itself, the dive site itself, and watched them slice the tuna balls and destroy our flags and descend. And then they came back up along the shore and dragging the chain link fence, threw it in the back of one of their trucks, and all had a big laugh on our expense.
Yep.
Thought it was funny stuff, and off they went, including the person that was supposed to be there all night long.
Right.
They all headed out together.
Yep.
So I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. But anyway, so sometimes when you have those feelings, it's good to act on them.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then we sent the team back to the hotel.
Yeah. I forgot who it was. We had the trail cams we put into a camera case.
Right. We sent them back
to
the dive center to lock those up. And
we didn't go to the front desk. Instead, we went to the dive shop itself.
Right.
And to the photo lab.
Right.
That they had there.
And had them lock those up for us.
Yeah, and put them back in the office for us. And we didn't tell them what it was.
Right. And they were thinking they were still thinking we were recreational divers, right? We were just
we were extending our stay a few extra days to do some fun dives.
Right.
Yeah, we got some great pictures, but we don't want to leave the camera in our room.
Right.
Because we're afraid that it's not going to disappear. And we, can you lock this in the office for us? And they were happy to oblige.
Very happy to help us.
Hoping that law enforcement wouldn't decide to, go there and see.
Right.
We figured if anything, they'd probably go to the front desk.
Right.
To see if we had them holding anything for us. But anyway, so all the evidence, the photos that we had taken, everything else, we emailed those back to ourselves.
Right.
And also we emailed those back to headquarters.
Yep.
But we have a lot of stuff in our computers, et cetera. So we're a little concerned about that.
Right.
So we decided to take our laptops and actually mail them to ourselves to the
Right.
dive shop on island.
Right.
All right. And then have the dive shop just hold those packages for us
Right.
on it. So we knew it'd be a day or so. But we had one of our staff members, take them over to the post office and actually mail them back to ourselves.
Right. We boxed
So,
that up.
in care of, to the dive center there.
Right.
And gave them a heads up. So now, they're holding our laptops and, we didn't tell them it was our laptops. We just said, hey, we got a couple packages being delivered here. Can you guys hold them until we pick them up? Oh, yeah,
Right.
not a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we got the dive shop holding our laptops in two separate packages, and we got the photo center holding our camera case that
Case.
has the not our
The
regular cameras, but the trail
our
cams.
trail. All right. The trail cams.
Yeah, that are in them.
Right. So I mean,
because we're concerned. We're concerned about this evidence disappearing
right,
on us.
because already the fake crime scene has already been destroyed. So
Yeah,
if we hadn't done that, if we hadn't acted on that feeling, or that getting that gut feeling, we would have lost all the evidence. The crime scene would have been destroyed, and we would have had nothing to support what we were trying to say.
yeah. Before we wrap up this half, Ed, should we
Yep.
give the audience a little hint on what we did with the evidence?
Sure, we'll go ahead.
Want me to tell them?
Sure.
All right. One of the things that Ed and I did when we had that dinner, and we said afterwards we had something that we needed to do before we went back to the hotel. We deflated the spare tire on the back of our Jeep. All right. We took a pry bar, and a big screwdriver actually. We pried the tire out far enough to where we could slip the evidence, all the bags,
Down
in the spare
inside the
tire. Put the tire, popped the tire back, which, I mean, you were trying to do it, but obviously you weren't strong enough. We needed these guns.
Oh,
in order
you,
to-
oh, you, I just pulled it out like this with my finger. I didn't know
So
I didn't know you used a screwdriver.
we stuffed all the evidence down inside the spare tire.
Yep.
All right. Then we stopped at the gas station and filled the tire back up.
Right.
Again, we were very concerned, and this was an old trick that we had used in the past, and
Yeah.
it worked quite well.
Exactly.
They're gonna search our vehicles or whatever. Hopefully they won't think about
The spare
deflating the
tire.
tires and pulling the tire, off the rim.
Right.
We didn't pull it all off. We just had to pry just enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
we-
had to open
the
it up
evidence
some.
was so small and minute, but we had
Right.
multiple bags. I mean, we
Yeah.
had a lot of bags.
Yeah.
But we basically just put it in one big Ziploc and
Yeah, and you can
stuffed it in.
slide it right in.
Yeah.
Once you move that tire, you can slide it right in.
Yeah. So, felt a little bit better about that because we told them when they came on scene that we didn't recover any evidence yet,
Right.
just to protect our evidence.
Right.
And, they wanted photographs, et cetera, but we wanted to make sure that we emailed those to ourselves first, that we had all the potential evidence, that, we kept everything, before
Right.
we sent it over to them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think this is probably a pretty good spot to head off.
Yeah.
But
I
I'll tell
think-
you, in part two,
Stay tuned.
yeah,
Don't go
stay-
anywhere.
Stay tuned because we a lot more happened. A lot more happened.
Yeah.
And now we have to figure a way to get our team off the island safely,
Right.
because we feared for our safety. And Ed took an unexpected trip to Europe, and I headed off to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
While the rest of the team went back stateside.
Yeah.
So we'll tell you why, in part two, why Ed headed off to Europe and why I went to the Bahamas, and what we did with all the electronic stuff that we had as far as trail cams and laptops and photos and all kinds of stuff like that, and the rest of the evidence that we had. How did we get the hell out of there?
Yeah.
And the conclusion as far as what happened.
What happened?
In the long run. Took a
Yeah.
while, but
we got there.
some big stuff happened.
Um,
Yeah.
Why don't you mention? I know we had talked about it before. why don't you mention, to our listeners, as far as, hey, if you like it, share it. That's what we're really, trying to get
Yeah,
people to.
we've been getting a lot of views,
Right, right.
but we're not getting the likes and the people subscribing. It only takes a few seconds. Please just hit that like button and hit that share button. It really means a lot to us. I mean, it's going
Yeah.
to help this site grow, and
Yep.
hopefully we can start getting some corporate sponsorship to start doing actual reenactments. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit better than two old guys sitting here in front of a camera, talking to you.
Well,
You can see two
you
old guys
you
diving.
you being old and me not so
Yeah,
old. So
yeah.
yeah, but if you
Instead, they can watch us
please.
walk down to the water with our walkers,
Yeah.
heading on down. Yeah, I push you off the end of the dock in your wheelchair
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so please like it, share it,
and
with
subscribe. Hit the
yeah,
subscribe
subscribe.
button.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
cost
please.
anything. It only takes a few seconds. So help
Right,
us out.
right.
Help us out.
So
Like, share, and subscribe.
yeah,
We
we'd
really
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
Yep.
Yep. Hey, I
All
want to give
right.
a shout out. We have a family here in the resort that I live in here in Tennessee. Um,
Oh,
Jamie and Joy
resort.
are the mother and father, and Brett and Bryn are their daughter and son. And Brett's a big listener, and he kind of gives me a thumbs up, and we chat every now and then. When I see him outside, I'll stop and we'll chat and stuff. He says he's really enjoying the show. So
Nice.
thank you, Brett, and we really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like and share button and subscribe.
Yeah, because he knows where you live.
Yeah. And I wanted to let you know also, Ed, this is kind of a surprise. I ran into somebody the other day who was from upstate New York, right?
Really?
And they were like, "Hey, you're Aquaman, the guy from the podcast show."
Yeah.
And I was like, "You mean the CSI guy?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I named you Aquaman." And he goes, "And your sidekick, Barnacle Boy."
Is
So,
the guy local to you?
so I guess you're Barnacle Boy.
Yeah. Is the guy local to you?
No, he was here for Thanksgiving visiting his
Oh,
parents.
because I'd like to find him. I'm
Yeah,
not
he's
supposed
coming
to.
back at Christmas, but he was here visiting
Oh,
his
good,
parents for Thanksgiving.
good. So you
Yeah,
know where his parents live?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
They
good.
live, they live right perpendicular to me, a little side road here.
Oh, good. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll come there for Christmas to show him Barnacle Boy. All right.
Aquaman and Barnacle Boy.
Yeah.
So
He's funny.
stay tuned to the adventures of Aquaman and his sidekick Barnacle Boy. I'll tell you, I just cracked up when he told me.
I don't blame you. I would have too.
Yeah, I was like Barnacle Boy. All right,
Yeah, great.
all
All
right,
right.
buddy.
All right.
Well, I hope
Well,
everybody was entertained. That's this was a good story to share.
yeah.
You
Part
know,
one.
part
So
one.
we'll get back with
S-
you for part
stay
two.
stay tuned for part two.
Yes, sir.
All right, pal.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks.
All right, thanks everybody for
Thanks.
listening. And I'm Senior Investigator Rich Morin.
And I'm Senior Investigator Ed Myron. or
Thanks for
better-
listening to Underwater
better known
CSI Revealed.
Revealed, better known of Barnacle Boy. All right. See you, Aquaman.
All right, buddy.
All right. See you.
On behalf of everyone at Underwater CSI International, Revealed, this is Randy Overton. Thank you for tuning in. Underwater CSI International Revealed is for entertainment purposes only. The information revealed is not intended, nor is it a substitution for the proper training and education received from a qualified dive professional. Certain episodes are loosely based on and may be modified from actual cases. Some episodes are fictional based, featuring procedures that could possibly be used by underwater investigators. Resemblance to destinations, actual cases, or persons living or deceased is purely coincidental.